Oh, hi there. I've just been making a few tweaks to this today. This is the Kobra Mark III prototype stock by Falandorn. Relevant links are in the description. So let's have a bit of a chat about this stock here. I've been using it for a while on the channel. It's kind of one of my favorite three go-tos. And we'll talk a little bit about the history of the Kobra stock and its different style, and then a few of the tweaks that I've made to it, and maybe the future of where it's going. So first things first. Until this new style of stock, the Kobra, came along, you really had two choices of how you wanted to do your stock. You could either go with the top-mounted ones, like this San Laki here, or you could go with the bottom-mounted cups, like this Boak Signature. First we have the San Laki. Now this is a gun stock which looks like a gun, and if you get all the cladding and stuff on it, it can look quite a lot like a gun. But the big drawbacks for this style of design is the weakness of the rings here. I mean, you can't pull back very hard on a stock, so you can't pull it into your shoulder at all without the cups releasing. So that's a bit of an annoying problem, especially on the San Laki. And that's because, if you pull too hard on these rings, eventually they would snap. And if you've seen any of the Gorilla Tag fatalities, these are durable, but they're not that durable. So any designer worth his salt will make this break away before any damage is done to the ring. Also, you have severe tracking occlusion with any of these designs. This one is not as bad as some that have bigger, bulkier bodies above, but even this one does have tendency to lose tracking and get a little bit wobbly. So if you want to do any kind of sniping, these top mount style stocks aren't the best. Your other alternative is the Boak stock, which has a bottom mount here with the carbon fiber and everything. It's a very light stock, a very stiff stock. You can pull into your shoulder as hard as you want. These are incredibly strong cups. And you also have perfectly clear tracking. But you don't have that nice sort of top weighty, realistic feel of a gun. Even, in VR with your eyes blocked off from the real world, you do tend to notice that top heavy center of gravity with the other kind of stock. Alright, so the other one is all feel, no performance. This one is all performance, no feel. And that brings us to the Kobra stock. This is the first Kobra stock that was released. This is the Mark I that I got to play with a while ago, and yeah, had a lot of fun with it when it came out, and it's still in one piece, so that's testament to its original build control. But this combines a couple of different things and introduces new technology, if you will, in this sphere. So the rear controller sits on this rear ring like this. These zip ties hold it on, and then you've got a magnet in the top. So it's very similar in style and process to the San Laki stock, the top mount. But because of the greater surface area and this angle connection here, you actually do get a bit more shoulder pull out of the controller. So that's a little bit of a bonus. And because it uses two narrow tubes instead of one thick iron bar, you do actually get a little bit better controller occlusion than you do with the San Lakis. So the controller occlusion isn't too bad. It's just a teeny tiny bit worse than the bottom mount ones, but pretty much insignificant. But the most important thing, the most attractive part of this design, which caught my eye when I first saw it as YouTube videos, is this front sort of half cup paddle thing. And the way it works is you take your front controller with the grip button here and you press it into this half cup, and then you grab the whole stock. So now your hand is holding the gun barrel, if you will, and crushing that grip button, which means your in-game model is also grabbing the gun barrel in one smooth action. So release, he releases, grab, he grabs. You don't have to grip the grip button. It doesn't feel unnatural at all. You just slap that into there and you're grabbing the gun in-game. And this gives you a really solid connection, and because the way the controller ring sits sideways, it actually avoids a lot of the occlusion errors you'd get if the controller was sitting underneath like this. So you actually get quite good tracking from the front hand. It doesn't drift around so much, and you can actually use longer guns. The drawback to this original design was the fact that this front doesn't extend at all. It's sort of at a set length. You can extend the butt section, to give you a bit more distance to that front hand. But while this worked really, really well for the MP5 in Onward, it is the perfect sizes in game. It just lines up perfectly, and sort of all your touch points are just right there. So it feels really good for the MP5, but unfortunately it can't reach to longer guns like the Spaz 12, for instance. So you can actually like try and grab the front hand, and it won't connect. It won't register as being close enough to grab that front hand. So this had limited use in Onward. In Contractors, a little bit better because you can calibrate everything, but you know, Onward's a pretty big first-person shooter to be supporting. So then that brings us to the Mark II, which is kind of what you see here. This prototype Mark III has a couple of different inclusions, not on the Mark II, but for the most, this is what you get. So it looks very much similar to the first one, but this one extends back here. And so you go from that little compressed MP5 size out to being long enough to reach guns like the M16s, M39s, the sniper rifles. The Spaz 12 does reach in that as well. So now you can use all of your guns in Onward with pretty much the same thing. You've got your grip at the front here, and then you've got your magnet connection at the back. And that's pretty good. And we can also extend the back out a little bit here as well. And now that's quite a long gun to use. And the tracking is pretty fine, you know, pretty good up there with the bottom mounts. And yeah, you can do things like cycle your bolt actions and things like that. But you could do a little bit more with a little bit more technology. So what really caught my eye was this rail under here. So this is actually a slider. If I undo this screw here, we can go from having a MP5 sized gun with that top weight balance. So now this is like in my standard Spaz 12 size and things like that. But because I've now got that slider unlocked, I can actually pull the front hand in here. And this is something I've been shooting for from the very start with gun stocks. Like the holy grail of gun stock design is to get a good pump shotgun capable gun stock. And this doesn't make any sacrifices to playing with other guns. So you can go from like an SV98 doing big snipes and things like that to just grabbing an RM870, firing, pumping, and doing big slam fire straight out of the sights. Reload, grab it again, and away you go. And because that front cup is not magnetic, you don't feel obligated to be holding the gun all the time with both hands. So if you go back to any of the other stocks like the Bokes or the Sandlackies, or any magnet stock like a Pro Tube, you always find yourself like tied up completely with the gun. Like your controllers are always in the gun, and you can let go with your hand in those and the controller will still be on the gun. So it doesn't feel as natural as interacting with real hands. Like your hands are always stuck to the gun basically, or always stuck in that configuration even when you put your gun on your chest. But with this, because it's so disconnected when you don't need to be connected, and so easy to connect and slap in and out, you find yourself like using your other hand a lot more to handle like the tablet and do things. You could do some little hand signals or something if you wanted to, and then slap it back in and you're ready to go. And you can go from being a secondary fire with the pistol, drop that, grabbing your main weapon, and away you go. So that's really cool, and I think going forward, this is my favorite immersive gun stock that exists. I do find myself using the Modus V2 a hell of a lot because it can do things like the P90 realistically, which is very cool because, you know, you get your hands like stacked up on top of each other like this, and it's up in your shoulder and everything, and you're using this stumpy little chunky thing. But for all other guns, like when I want to rock the MP5 or like the Spaz 12, or if I want to play shotguns in Contractors, which is my favorite way to play Contractors, this is the thing I'll be reaching for. And there's a few tweaks that are going to have to change going forwards. Like for instance, this pin here, which is used to lock the front end down into MP5 size, because of the spring that I put in here, you have to crush it down and then put it. That's a two-handed sort of task at the moment, and it requires having a place to put this thing. But shrink the back down like this, and that's a tight little baby MP5 stock, which is really fun. But then you pop this out and you've got a longer gun, but you got to sort of like put this in your pocket or There'll be another device that'll let this work, like a dial that screws it in and out from the side, so you can just go make a couple of spins and it unlocks, and then make a couple of other spins and it locks in. And so the way I've done this is I've actually used just a little bit of bungee cord, wrapped it through, and like this. So it's always trying to extend, basically, all the way. So it means that when you're grabbing a shotgun lazily, it's already out at a nice length for you. And then you bring tension back on it, and when you let go, it wants to return to that neutral point. I had it before, I was playing with it before without having that in there, that spring. And you sort of always have to like remember to like be extending your body, and also pulling away from your shoulder sort of weakens your aim a little bit. So you're constantly like fighting, pulling back and pulling forwards. But the spring solved that, and now you can pull into your shoulder and it's all good to go. And then you can pump the shotgun, and that's nice and easy. You don't even need it into your shoulder, but I do prefer to like have it in here or put it on my shoulder and slam it, because I can just be a bit more aggressive with it. But as you can see, the magnets hold quite well facing that way, and of course pulling back, they will release. So it is pretty easy. You can use it for bolt action sniper rifles and shotguns without actually having to modify anything. You can go straight into it, which is very, very cool. So that's been a bit of a look at the Kobra Mark III prototype VR stock. You can get your Mark IIs from the links in the description, and I guess this will progress along. There's some work to be done on like finding things up and making the tensions correct and building it all out to work seamlessly. But there is cool stuff coming down the pipe from this maker of Gunstocks, which is cool because it's good to see like new fresh blood in the game. When everything is like a Pro Tube or a San Lackey, it's good to see something this different and interesting and immersive. And if you want to use pump shotguns with a Gunstock, this is the only game in town. Absolutely the only game in town. Nothing else comes close. It's fantastic, and let's have a bit of a play around, shall we? Here we go. RM870. We can pump the shotgun, and the shells come out. Pop a few more shells in there, chuck one up on the side. So we have full control over this pump shotgun with the Gunstock. As you can see, we're playing on a very large range map. Here we go. It's good fun. So yeah, pump the shot, pump the shot, pump the shot. We can also do things like that. You can do one-handed pumps. And then we just slap that back on, and we're good to go. It's pretty durable. I haven't broken it yet. And that's about as much of a beating as a Gunstock can take. Oop, up on the side. Halo gravity. There we go. Not bad. And of course, the gun terminates at the right points. We've got our MP5 here, and if you look here, it all lines up nicely. Yes, that's good. And the rear hand lines up on everything. We're going to pick that guy. I'm just going to do a real quick 12 men shooty shoots. Grab my gun here, and you can see that lines up really, really nicely. We can also see like the rear butt stock ends exactly where we expect it to. So all your contact points are nice and lined up. And it feels just like grabbing the gun, you know? Whoa. Well, we gotta get out of here. That was an unfortunate start. This gun actually shoots pretty low below the sights at any kind of range. They're very funny sights. But it's so great having like a little compact stock like this. That was stupid. So many bullets. They're not usually stacked up like that, but yeah. Let's see what we got. I guess we'll go up top. Try not to get murdered. All right, pretty clear. There we go. Pretty odd enemy placement, but yeah, the gun feels really good. Lines up beautifully. Feels like you're using a gun. So if I grab this gun here, you can see the control lines up and grabs. And if we look at the butt, I've extended it out now, and that lands exactly where we want it to as well. So we have our full big shotgun experience. Because I've got my volume turned down low for recording video, I can't actually hear the enemies wandering around. Alright, we've dropped those guys on the roof. There's that fourth guy. Just going to chuck a bit of ammo into this. A fun thing about this, the soft padding that's on the front of this gun stock here actually absorbs hits from the Quest controllers. If you like are speed loading shells into a shotgun, for instance, it's actually super handy. There we go. Got him, yeah. I do love the Spaz 12 in this. It's quite a bit of fun. So that's been a look at the Mark III prototype of the Kobra stock. Relevant links are in the description. See you next time, hopefully with a newer one of these.